Hi Stampin' Friends, it's Chris Slogard, BuckeyeInklings.com. And today I want to show you how to make this cute 3D project. I have it laying down so you could see it better. It's a miniature Keurig coffee maker, and it holds the mini coffee cups that we have in our catalog. So really cute project. You may have seen it, very similar project in our annual catalog on page 33. And I got these instructions from Stampin' Up! And made my version. We actually made this in a team meeting last month, and super fun. It's just different. We put in our coffee cup these little campfire marshmallows, a little 1-ounce bag, and a hot cocoa mix, and that just barely fits the cup. You do kind of have to squish the marshmallows a little bit. Another thing you could do, this is a great idea. These coffee cups are big enough to put a gift card, and you could maybe throw some chocolates in there too. But just for some ideas, that's what you could fill it with. And I wanted to get this to YouTube before our wonderful Peaceful Prints paper is no longer available. Okay, so this paper is one of the celebration freebies that you can earn through the end of September. So keep that in mind. Okay, let's get going. Just a couple of pieces to make this project. You've got, and I'm using black cardstock. The back piece is 4 1/4 by 6 inches, and it's scored at a 1/2 inch on all sides. So I'll go ahead and burnish that. And then you need, actually Stampin' Up! Recommends 2 of these pieces shaped like this. I'm going to show you why I like 4. So I've got 4 of these, but basically these start as a 3 1/4 inch square, and then you use the lid from the coffee cup. So these are the mini coffee cups. You use the lid to make a pattern and cut one edge with that round shape on each of the pieces. Okay, so like I said, I have 4 of those. I'll show you why I use 4. You can decide what you like. And then this piece, okay, there's 2 pieces here, the upper and lower bands for the machine, and they start from rectangular pieces of cardstock. Okay, so I've got one that is 1 inch by 8 3/8, and one that is a little bit bigger for the top, and that's 1 1/4 inch by 8 3/8. And each is scored a 1/4 inch from the long edge. Okay, and each one will be then cut. All you do is you go along up to the score line. I'm just gonna fold that so you can see it better. And you create little tabs all along here. Okay, and you'll do that along the length. Now I've got that done already, and I was making so many of these that I actually put this on my scan and cut so that I could cut these shapes directly. And if you are my customer, or if you are buying from me this month, just email me if you'd like that scan and cut file. It's actually a CWPRJ file, and I'll be happy to send that to anyone on my team or my customers. And then otherwise, I will have a buy it now button for a PayPal purchase if you want to just buy that file. So the file that I am using cuts these pieces, and here's the 8 1/2 inch line. Okay, so these pieces, you do have to be careful to place the paper very carefully to get the 8 3/8 inch length bands, and it cuts all 6 of these pieces from one sheet of cardstock. And then this piece you can make more efficiently by cutting it on your trimmer, this 4 1/4 by 6 inch piece. So just if you end up getting that file, that's how it works. You will have to cut this separately. Okay. And then, of course, if you'd rather put it on 12-inch paper, or if you'd rather put these down the length of the 11-inch so that you don't have to worry about the spacing so much, you can move the pieces around after you get the file. The problem with that was you could only cut 3 of these from an 8 1/2 by 11 piece if you put those pieces that way. Okay, but let's get to assembly. You don't need a scan and cut to make this. Like I said, you make that edge with the cup lid, and then you can create these teeth, as I like to call them, just by creating little cuts along your rectangular pieces. Okay, and once you have these pieces, what you're going to do is use a strong adhesive, either liquid glue or tear and tape, and attach one of these right up to the score line on each end of this piece, which is the back of the Keurig. Okay, so I'm going to use tear and tape so that we don't have to wait for that to dry. And my tweezers here. Huh, my tear and tape is shredding. How did that happen? Okay, there we go. Okay, so we're putting one of these between the score lines on the long side and right up to the score line here. That's horizontal in this frame, and I'm placing it very carefully because it is going to make a difference in the assembly. Okay, and then I'm going to take my snips and cut along this score line right along these edges. So we're going along the edge of that kind of rounded square piece that we created. Okay, and creating tabs here and here. Okay, so this will fold up and in. And then on this side, we're going to do the same. Okay. And then I'm going to take these pieces with the teeth. It doesn't matter which one you do first. I'm going to burnish where the teeth are. The little tabs, if you want to call them. I don't know. They look like little monster teeth to me. So this is the piece you've either cut by yourself or let the scan and cut for you. I'll go ahead and burnish both of these while I'm at it. And another thing I want to do to these long pieces, because they're going to be curved in the end, I want to give them a little flick with my bone folder here to break down the fibers a bit. And that will help so that they want to go into that rounded shape for the front of the Keurig. Okay. So like I said, it doesn't matter which one you're going to start with. One is going around the top edge. One is going around the bottom edge. And what I'm going to do is, for this straight length, which corresponds to about 4 of these tabs, I'm going to put down tear and tape, okay, to get this started. Just for the straight length here. I've found that this is the easiest way for me to get this assembled. And then I'm going to reveal that. And okay, so here's our little tab we created. And the edge of our brim piece needs to butt right up to that when the tab is folded in, because in the end, this, here, let me just push down these, pretty much 4 teeth will land along that sticky strip. But then what I'm going for is with this tab in and the back, the little side turned in from the back, the brim is going to go around that back piece, okay? So I've just got this started, and I'm going to get the other side started as well. And instead of trying to get all of these rounded pieces in order before, you know, at the same time, I'm just doing these ends, okay? And again, on this side, I've got this tab turned in. I'm butting the edge right up to that fold, keeping in mind then that will go around the outside edge. Okay, and I'm getting these 4 pieces, however many teeth that you end up with along this straight edge, I'm getting those set in place already. Okay, and so this will be the shape of your Keurig. And then you just need to get some adhesive in here. This is where I like to use liquid glue, and I'm just going to put a little dot. You don't really even have to get every last tooth, but just get in there, and not too much glue. In fact, on this one, I think it's too much, so I'm going to take some away because I don't want that to squish out. But then we've got the shape. It wants to be kind of curved and round here, and I'm just going to hold those tabs in place right under that curved square piece. Does that make sense? Okay, and these, I'm just trying to show you here how this is a pretty neat little edge then. And I'm going to give it a second for the glue to take. Okay, because that's kind of critical. You can go in here with your bone folder. Press that down. Okay, we need to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to, again, put some tear and tape along the straight edge here and here. And reveal that adhesive. And then take this piece, oops, that'll be okay. The other brim piece, and we're going to get it started. Gonna flick this little tab in, butt the end of the brim piece up to that little side, that little 1/2 inch side. Get that started. And line up the pieces that are going to be straight here, or the little tabs that are along the straight edge, and push them down. And then go and do that same thing on the other side. So flicking that tab in, holding that tab in, and see, if I was doing this, I would do it straight down here. But I'm trying to show you that these are coming together, and we're pushing the tabs that will connect along that straight portion. We're pushing those down. Okay, and you can burnish a little bit if that helps. Okay, and then same thing on this side where that rim piece, the brim piece will go around the sides. All right, and then we need to lock down the tabs on the curved edge as well. So I'm adding some glue. I'm missing a couple of the tabs. I'm not going to worry about that. You'll see why later. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of push and force this to be that nice round edge. And just give it 1 second to dry. Okay, that should do it. I think that's gonna hold. All right, so as a last step to make the shape of this, you need to push the sides in, the tabs in, and bring these pieces up. Oops, I didn't give this enough time. Let me just push that together with my fingers here. I really needed to let that dry probably just a little longer. Okay, so like I'm saying, you will have both of these top and bottom coming up around the side and the back, or well, the sides are part of the back piece, okay? So I like to do this with glue to make this final attachment in the end, because then I can kind of maneuver it to make it true while I'm holding it. I can, you know, if I need to slide anything a little bit. So I'm putting a little glue on the inside of those tabs. I'll do one side at a time. And then a little glue where the edge of the brim pieces will connect to the 1/2 inch sides. Okay, so I'm going to kind of true this up as best I can. And this looks like it's popping a little bit because I really didn't hold that very long, but we'll correct that. You'll see my little extra piece of my little extra rounded squares will help us when it comes to that. Okay, and then something that I do just as a, here, I'm going to do this. I keep clothespins usually pretty handy. So for little pieces like that I'm waiting on to dry, I can just pin it together. Okay, so again, on the other side, I'm doing dots of glue on the inside of that tab, and then a little line of glue where the sides are going to connect to the brim piece. Okay, and I can get a couple more clothespins here and let this dry a second. But since I'm using glue, I can really like press this and make sure it looks, you know, pretty true. And I would say that's, yeah, pretty good. Okay, let's let that dry a second. While that's drying, let's talk about these trim pieces. So these are DSP strips, and the larger one measures 1 inch by 12 inch, and the smaller one is 3/4 inch by 12 inch. And they're scored at 1 3/4 and 10 1/4. So they're scored basically 1 3/4 from each end. And I'm going to go ahead and press that fold, and then break down the fibers a little bit too to get that nice shape. And this will be for the top and bottom bands. And then another thing we need to make ahead is I've got some label shapes that I built up to make my little Merry Christmas here. And these are from the seasonal labels dies. I'm just going to glue these 3 together because they're all the same shape. And this is how I made my little Merry Christmas tag here. This is made with a stamp from Peaceful Deer. And the Peaceful Deer punch is also what I've used on the front here. So it's all in the same kind of suite. Okay, we'll let that dry a second. And anything else that we need to do that we can do ahead? Oh, yeah, I can show you for the coffee cup. I've actually made, now you can use the warm wraps dies. I've also got a pattern on my Scan and Cut just to make a wrap for this cup easily. So I am going to attach that to the cup and get the pieces that I need for the cup. This has just given us a little more chance to let that dry, so we'll get some of these little things out of the way. And I like to just put this on with the tear and tape. And what I do is I line these up when I see that they're going to meet. I don't push down the tear and tape until I see that they're going to meet. And that's when I commit to sticking that down to the cup. So you could also use the warm wraps dies. That's actually what they're intended to be for. Okay, and I've got the lid here. And what I was doing on the front, I've got a Tasteful label cut out of black. And again, I'm giving it a little curve here so that it kind of naturally wants to go around the cup when I put it on. I'm going to put it on with dimensionals. And I'll just put 2 dimensionals down the middle here. And I'm going to put that here on the front. Since the diagonals get a little weird on this curved shape, I'm not going to cover this with my label. I'm just going to keep that to the back, and that way the diagonals look a little nicer up front here. So if it was a different print, I would probably, you know, cover up that seam instead. Okay, and then we need to punch a deer. So that Peaceful Prints has this sheet of designer paper where you can get in and punch the deer shapes directly from the paper. Now, I have, unfortunately, there's only 4 of the deer that are going in the direction of the punch, and then there's 9 that are symmetric, and I want to show you how to get one of those symmetric deer out, because there are many of those that we can use. And all I've done here, I've got a piece of vellum that I folded in half and then punched with the punch shape. Okay, so I punched it. You can see that lines up with the punch. And what I'm going to do is wrap this around. I've got a strip of the paper cut with the deer going in the, you know, the opposite direction. And I'm going to frame one of my deer with the vellum punch and then turn this over and make some marks here so that I can punch the deer from the back side. Okay, so I'm tracing, there's a matching deer shape on the back that will line up with the punch. And I'm just tracing not the entire deer, but just some key places so that when I stick my punch in, oh, I probably should have done more of the head. Well, let's see, maybe I'll get lucky here. When I go in and punch along those marks, I have that deer from the front side of the paper. Okay, does that make sense? That's how you can get that reverse image punched. Okay, so might as well finish the cup, and then we'll get back to finishing the Keurig. So I just have a couple of little dimensionals here, and I'm going to put my deer right on the front of that tasteful label shape. Okay, so that's ready. And this should be plenty dry now. Okay, and this, of course, is popping up because I didn't hold that very long. Let me show you, though, what I like to do, because this is a little messy on the inside with only a top and a bottom cover piece. So what I like to do is fit my extra 2 pieces right in there. Now, this one actually fits really good. Sometimes you'll find, just because of the way you constructed this might be too tight in there. Oh, now see, I can't get this one back out. I can actually leave that one. Well, let me try to poke it out so I can tell you what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm reaching into my seam there and poking this back out. I just want to tell you what to do if these don't fit well, like if they are a little too big, because the way you've constructed this is maybe a little tighter, all you need to do is trim away a sliver on whichever side is appropriate. I wouldn't trim this side, but any of the 3 flat sides. And then I'm glad I got that back out, because I like to add glue in there to really firm up this connection. That'll kind of solve my problem with the fact that I haven't gotten this tight either, because when I've got glue all around all of those teeth now on the inside, and when I put this in place, this I think just makes this whole construction a little sturdier, and I'm pushing down along that front edge and really kind of firming up what's going on here. Oh, I've even got a little bit of glue coming out, but just be careful of that. Okay, so that I think is a lot sturdier and looks a lot neater. Oops, I had glue on my fingers here. Okay, so same thing on the other side. I'm gonna drop some glue down in that bottom and put the, I guess it would be smart to have your glue in there, and then when you are going to place this in, if it's too tight and you can't drop it in there, just don't try to force it to the glue until after you trim away the slivers there. Okay, so I'm going to, mine fits, and I'm putting it in. And I'm pushing this together too, because I was kind of fooling around and not letting this dry long enough, but this will secure everything a lot better now. And then I've got these pieces, which I mentioned before, the 1-inch strip, and you can see it's burnished, or yeah, it's scored and burnished right where it needs to be. Okay, with these 2 ends being 1 3/4. So I can either, I'm gonna do it with liquid glue because I like that slide factor. I'll be able to move it so that the corners match the corners of my Keurig. But I'm going to wrap the top edge, and yeah, let's see, I need to slide that back, and I'm going to have those ends come together nicely. I can push this into place so that it just fits that top curve. And same thing on the bottom. actually don't need a ton of glue all the way around. You could basically just put glue on the back sides once you have it in place. Okay, but same thing here. And finish that wrap. Make sure it's all aligned and the edges are lined up. And oh, isn't that paper so pretty? Okay, so remember, this is the celebration paper that's only with us through the end of September. Okay, now I've got this label that I made earlier. That should be good and dry. I want to break this down a little bit with my bone folder to get a curve on it. And I'm just going to glue that right on too. And set that up here. And then I have a piece of the black and white gingham, and I can make a bow and finish this with a little bow at the top. All right, and let me trim the ends just a little bit. I'll leave them kind of long. And let's see, I got that bow kind of right up here. Need to probably clip these guys. Here we go. Clothespins are very handy to have for 3D projects. Okay, now I've messed that up. Now I slid that up too high, sorry. Okay. So there we have that. And of course we have our cup finished. It will fit in there after the clothespins are removed, but here we have that finished project then. So really fun, and not that many pieces, right? A couple of squares that we're cutting down, a couple of rectangles, 3 rectangles, and then whatever else you want for decoration. So really fun. I think it's a cute little project. I plan to bag these up in cello bags for my craft show. I think that's going to be a really cute little Keurig favor. So, all right. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm going to have a link to the post, my blog post, and you can go over there and there will be dimensions written out and some still pictures. And if you're interested in the Brothers scan and cut file, that will be available there. But like I said, if you're a customer or on my team, just email me. I'll be happy to send that to you. Okay. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.